One of the most perverse things about the true war on our police is who the left are treating as heroes and who they are lambasting as villains. It is a perversion of the truth. It is a reversal of the truth. We have George Floyd, the man who was the catalyst for the expansion of the Black Lives Movement. Who is George Floyd? The Democrats, the left, would have you believe he's some hero, some example of a man that we build statues of, that we paint murals. Our producer found murals to George Floyd all across America. Who are they painting murals of? Who are they paying tribute to? Well, let's look at George Floyd for a second. Here's his mugshot. I could have given you various different mugshots because there are so many out there in the public record. Why? Because this is just a little snippet of his rap sheet, his criminal record from Texas. A man involved in armed robbery, including of pregnant women. This is the man they lionize. Very few people are prepared to speak the truth about who George Floyd is. One of them is that warrior princess, Candace Owens.
George Floyd has a rap sheet, and I'm going to remind you guys of it again today. He was arrested for delivery of a controlled substance. He was arrested and put into jail. He was arrested for theft. He was arrested for theft again. He spent 10 months and 10 days in jail. He was arrested for failure to identify. He spent 15 days in jail. He was again arrested for possession of a controlled substance, less than 1 gram of cocaine. He was then arrested for trespassing, no forcible entry. He was arrested for delivery of a controlled substance. He was arrested for possession with intent to manufacture or distribute, another 30 months in jail total. He was arrested for aggravated robbery with a dangerous and deadly weapon.
A weapon which was a loaded handgun he pointed to the belly of that pregnant woman he was robbing. George Floyd is meant to be a hero unless you know the truth. Let's talk about the truth. Let's talk about the murderers of Officer Ella French in Chicago, the Morgan brothers. Will they see statues to them? We're going to play for you the recording of the dispatcher after Ella French was murdered by these men, one of whom, well, of course, because it's Chicago, was already on probation for another crime before he murdered that woman and shot her colleague. Let's talk about the real heroes instead, not the scum, not the killers, the heroes. I owe a debt of gratitude to someone called Eileen Evans at the Daily Caller. Recently, the Daily Caller posted a tweet with these names. This incredible list is the list of officers killed in the line of duty since George Floyd died. And I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I want to pay tribute to these true heroes as much as I can because this list is so horrifically long. These are the people who died for you and for me. Officer Cody Holt, Officer Nathan Leday, Deputy Constable Caleb Rule, Lieutenant Stephen Williams, Officer Scott Hutton, Sheriff Andrew Clark, Deputy Sergeant Damon Gutzweiler, Animal Control Officer Darian Young, Deputy Sheriff James Blair, Officer Dale Provins, Officer Destin Lagiza, Corrections Officer Richard Bianchi, Sergeant Craig Johnson, Officer Jason Judd, Officer Anthony Dia, Officer Edelmiro Garza, Officer Andy Ornelis, Officer Casey Johnson, Officer Tyler Herndon, Officer Jason Suping, Sergeant Gordon Best, Sergeant Daniel Mobley, Deputy Sheriff Jonathan Price, Sheriff's Corporal Brian Levine, Lieutenant Corporal Melton Gore, Officer Joseph Montgomery, Corporal Christine Peters, Deputy Sheriff Adam Gibson, Officer Brandon Stalker, Lieutenant Michael Bout, FBI Special Agent Laura Schwarzenberger, FBI Special Agent Daniel Alfin, Officer Darian Jarrott, Officer Mitchell Penton, Deputy Sheriff Michael Magley, Officer Horatio Dominguez, Lieutenant Eugene Lasco, Deputy Sheriff Thomas Albanese, Reserve Deputy Constable Martinez Mitchum, Officer Dominic Winham, Captain Justine Bedwell, Officer Jose Anzora, Officer Jesse Madsen, Border Patrol Agent Alejandro Flores Banuelas, Officer Eric Taylor, Correctional Officer Robert McFarland, Officer Ishmael Chavez, Sheriff's Cadet Cornelius Anderson, Officer Jonathan Shoup, Deputy Sheriff William Garner, Deputy Sheriff Dylan Pickle, ATF Special Agent John Bost, Michigan State Trooper Caleb Starr, Officer Sheena Yarborough Powell, Park Ranger Brendan Unit, Officer Brian Brown, Officer Tamaris Bohannon, Corporal Brian Searcy, Captain Stanley Elrod, Detective James Skirnovitz, Officer Sean Peake, Investigator Mario Herrera, Deputy Sheriff Ryan Hendricks, Sergeant Ethan Kaskin, Deputy Sheriff Kenny Ingram, Deputy Sheriff Anthony White, Officer Jacob Hansher, Detective Kevin Collins, Detective Kurt Holland, Sergeant Conley Jumper, Sergeant Harold Preston, Corporal Deputy Adam McMillan, Deputy Corporal Daniel Abramovich, Officer Marshall Waters, Sergeant Sean Rios, Officer Travis Wallace, Officer Charlie Cortez, Deputy Sheriff Jared Allison, Corporal Carl Davis. Do we get the message? How many more have to die? I haven't even finished this list. It's a war on those who keep us safe. It is a bloody outrage. Stand with the police, support the police, push back on the despicable, inhuman lies of the Democrat Party, not just the activists, not just the brainwashed sheep of BLM, but the Democrat Party that started the defund police movement. Here's her image again. Here's Officer Ella French. So we never forget. 29 years old, shot in the head. Stand up for our police.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.